It's been a few months since Christopher Ward's last release. That was an all-new watch, the Loco. Today we have yet another new release from Christopher Ward. This one, slightly less expensive. In fact, it's going to be their most affordable dive watch currently in the lineup. It's a C60 Trident Reef. That reef gives you a hint here. These are going to be in bright colors for summer. However, this is an all-new watch. It's actually getting a brand new light catcher case, and it has some odd materials that they're using in conjunction with the stainless steel that give it some color. It's also coming in two sizes for the first time. They're coming out with a very large version and a smaller version. I'll tell you all the details and the sizes during the video. I have two hands-on, one large, one small, in two different colors. So let's flip the camera and take a hands-on look at the new C60 Trident Reef from Christopher Ward. So here they are. This is the C60 Trident Reef, two different sizes. Obviously, the one on the left in the greenish blue color, that is the 44 millimeter version, and then the one on the right is the 41 millimeter version. Although it kind of looks a little bit smaller than 41 millimeters to my eyes, but it could be just because it's sitting next to the 44 millimeter version, but we will do full measurements in just a few minutes. There's a few things that will immediately stand out about this new reef from Christopher Ward. It's not the new case, it's not really the dials, it's the chapter rings, and really the minute track. So it's kind of a combination of both because they don't have a chapter ring here. It's just a minute track that is very large and sits higher than the rest of the dial. And I'm not sure if those are loomed or not. We're going to do a loom shot towards the end of the video, but you have these very large applied indices with beaver teeth at the 12 o'clock. Those are filled with loom. On the green version, you are getting an aqua green tinge to those indices. On this black version, they are silver. So this black version is probably the most tame out of all the different colors that they're coming out with. I think they're coming out with 4 or 5 colors. There's a white version, and that is really the only one that is significantly different from all the rest, and I'll explain why in just a few seconds. So what makes this a new watch? Well, besides that dial setup, there is a new case on this watch. It's actually a 4-part light catcher case. There's a steel core to the case. So you have a stainless steel core to the case that has brushed lugs and the polished bezels that we are very used to from Christopher Ward when it comes to the light catcher case. However, there is a color matched protective shroud that's in a matte aluminum that's on the sides of these watches. And you can only really see them when you look at it at its side. And those colors, the colors that are on the sides of the watch, match the dial. So the dial is in a media blasted texture, and then they match colors. So the colors on the green one, that is a green dial, you have green sides. The black, you have black sides. That's basically what they're doing. And they're also matching that to the bezel. So the bezel on these two are made out of aluminum. Now there's a white version, like I was saying before. The white version gets ceramic for the bezel, and that protective shroud is in ceramic. So those are in white ceramic. The hands are colorful as well. So you're getting green and like a mustardy yellow color for this green dial, the 44 millimeter version, and then the black version is getting a blue minutes hand. So again, this is the most tame version that they are making because the black, you're getting that black dial, the black bezel, very traditional looking. You have that large chapter ring, so it does make it a little bit brighter, and then you have the black sides, that aluminum in black. And when you look at these watches from the side, you do get crown guards, and you could see what I'm talking about here. So you do have that line of polish that goes along the bottom of the case. That's in all stainless steel. So it's almost like that shroud sits in the case and then the case sits within that. You still get a screwed-in case back, a sapphire crystal case back. You get to see the Sellita SW200 with the Christopher Ward logo. And then you have a Christopher Ward crown, very large crown on here. It's around 7 millimeters on this watch, which is the 41 millimeter version. The larger version, the 44 millimeter version, gets an even larger crown at 7.4 millimeters, which does make sense because it is 3 millimeters larger, the case. So you would want that crown to be a little bit bigger so it looks a little bit more appropriate to the size of the case. Thickness on this watch is 11.5 millimeters, so that's pretty good considering you're getting 200 meters of water resistance. Sapphire crystal on the front and back. The sapphire crystal on the front has a little bit of a beveled edge and sits a little bit higher than the bezel, and this watch measures in at around 40.9 millimeters, so essentially a 41 millimeter watch with a 48 millimeter lug to lug. If you include the bracelet, which does have male end links, it's around 52.3 millimeters, somewhere in that range. That's for the 41 millimeter version. You get a batter bracelet on here. You get on the fly micro adjust. They do have their new push button on the fly micro adjust, which just says push on it. You push that button and you just slide it out, and it is really smooth. You can see that is extremely smooth. There's no rough feeling at all, and it's really nice. And then when you have it all the way out, you maybe have like 5 millimeters of adjustment. It's really good, actually, maybe just under 5 millimeters. Screwed links throughout, which of course you would expect from Christopher Ward at this point. Solid links, quick release, solid end links, all the bells and whistles on this bracelet. Really nice bracelet. The batter bracelet has always been very, very nice. You can see here the 44 millimeter version is really colorful. You have that blue on the side, or green, whatever you want to call it. It's like an aqua bluish green color. And you can see that shroud. It does add a lot of color, but when you're looking at it head on, you don't really see that color whatsoever. It's kind of hard to see. It does peek through a little bit beyond the bezel, but not really, not at every angle. So it is kind of hard to see. You won't notice it all the time. Usually, if you're taking your watch off and you're laying it down, that's when you're going to see that. Otherwise, it's really for everyone else. They're going to see it more than you are on your wrist because it is on the sides. The 44 millimeter version measures in at around 43.7 millimeters is what I measured at the bezel. Around the same thickness as the 41 millimeter version. I measured 11.6 millimeters, but I think that's just my calipers. It's almost exactly the same. You have a much larger lug to lug of around 51 millimeters. That's at the case. If you use the bracelet here with those male end links, it's going to be in the neighborhood of 55 millimeters. So this is a larger watch. It's definitely meant for larger wrists. So definitely keep that in mind if you are interested in the 44 millimeter version. Very quickly on my wrist today, a watch that really does not need an introduction. This is the Loco in blue. I have all 4 colors to show you guys in a video very, very soon. And I am very excited to show you all 4 of these watches hands-on. And there is the 41 millimeter version on my 7.5 inch wrist. This is definitely not going to be for everyone. This isn't polarizing. I wouldn't say that at all. It's just not for everyone. That large chapter ring, that large minute track, may not be aesthetically pleasing to everyone, and maybe not everyone is going to love the aluminum on the side. I think it looks good, and obviously the quality is there. This is Christopher Ward, and it feels like a Christopher Ward product. That's what's important here, and obviously the light catcher case, a very important part of the Christopher Ward package. So they wanted to do something a little bit different here, a little bit more colorful, I think, for maybe the sportiness of it, but also for summer. Obviously, you're adding color to the side of the case. It's going to be more colorful. Aluminum or anodized aluminum like this is, it might scratch if you are leaving your watch on its side, on a bedstand or something like that. So definitely be conscious of that if you buy a watch like this. But usually the sides of the watch aren't really the problem. Usually it's the bracelet and the bezel that gets scratched the most. So I think you would be fine. But really cool looking watch. Let's try on the 44 millimeter version. To be completely honest, I was a little bit surprised that Christopher Ward decided to come out with such a large dive watch. Usually these days, brands are going in the other direction. They went in and basically leaned in and made a much larger dive watch. I know a lot of people will not like that, but there are some large-wristed fellows out there who are going to love it. And I personally, a person who does wear larger watches, I have some smaller watches in my collection, but most of my watches are 42 millimeters and above. So that's a majority of my watches. And I think this looks good on my 7.5 inch wrist. A lot of you might think it doesn't. I like the way it looks. I think it looks good. Would I go for the 44mm version? Maybe. Depends on the colors, depends on the options, but I would maybe gravitate towards a 41mm watch. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, actually. I wouldn't say that for sure. And it looks very different. It actually looks very different from everything that Christopher Ward currently offer. So that is definitely a good thing. This one in particular, that green on green, the case and that bezel, and you can actually see it when you're looking down your arm like this. You definitely can see that. And I'll take a shot of that to show you what I'm talking about. But you can see that green and green together. It does look very cool, especially from the side. Well, there you go. Lume on here, pretty good. All of the indices are very liberally applied with lume. The hands are very liberally applied with lume. There's lume on the second hand, which I love to see. There's a triangle in the bezel, which is also lumed. I would have liked to see a little bit more lume, maybe that chapter ring or the bezel. That would have been really cool. But other than that, I think obviously very bright, and you can see your watch is working in the dark, which, you know, I love. Price on these. The price is excellent. So I don't think it matters. Size doesn't matter here at Christopher Ward. So $850 if you want it on the strap. So they make like an Aqua Flex strap that this comes on. I'm not sure if you can get that glow in the dark one for this watch. That would make a lot of sense actually, but I think they're just colorful that match the colors of the dials and the shrouds. That is $850. That makes this the most affordable Swiss-made. Obviously, they're Swiss-made because they are Christopher Ward's. Christopher Ward currently available. That's a dive watch on their website. Obviously, a lot of people are complaining that they're going up market, but there you go. This is awesome, and it's affordable at $850. And if you want the bracelet, it's $1,035. And I always recommend getting the bracelet because, number one, the batter bracelet is just really well made. You get that on-the-fly micro adjust, and you could always buy a strap. Straps are cheaper, and in the long run, the bracelet will last you much, much longer. So I always recommend to get the bracelet and then get the strap if you eventually want to get one. That's really it, guys. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. Like I said, unexpected that Christopher Ward would go larger, but they did. I think this is a pretty cool watch. I really love the case. I really love what they did, playing with the colors and the materials here. It looks great. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. You can see the lume is definitely hanging on because it is very thickly applied. I will put a link to these watches down in the description below. Check it out if you are interested. That's really it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next video.